Imagine this. It's 1944. You're deep inside enemy-occupied France. The rumble of German patrols is a constant hum in the distance. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig could be your last. You're an American paratrooper, but your unit is gone. Scattered, captured, or worse, you're alone. No radio, no backup, no extraction point. Your only mission now is to survive. This wasn't a movie scene for thousands of Allied soldiers. It was their terrifying reality. Today, we're stepping into their boots, exploring the untold stories of those who were cut off, surrounded, and left with nothing but their wits and a desperate will to live. The night of D-Day, thousands of paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions dropped into Normandy. The plan was textbook: secure key bridges, disrupt German communications, and sow chaos. But war rarely follows a plan. High winds and heavy anti-aircraft fire scattered the planes. Men who were supposed to land together were dropped miles apart, often alone, into a swamp or right on top of a German garrison. For them, the invasion wasn't a grand offensive. It became a personal, intimate battle for survival. Think about Sergeant John Steele of the 101st. His story is famous, but let's look beyond the legend. He landed in the town square of Sint-Meer-Eglise, his parachute snagged on the church steeple. He dangled there for 2 hours, feigning death as the battle raged below him. He watched his comrades, his friends, fight and fall. He was a sitting duck, completely helpless. He was eventually captured, but later escaped, a testament to sheer luck and nerve. But for every John Steele who was rescued, how many others weren't so fortunate? How many landed in a field, surrounded by an SS patrol, with no church to hide on? Their stories are often lost, whispered only in the memories of those who made it back. Let's move to the Pacific Theater. The jungles of Burma and the Philippines were a different kind of hell. It wasn't just the enemy you had to fight. It was the environment itself. Imagine being a pilot, your plane shot down over a dense, uncharted jungle. You survived the crash, but now what? You're surrounded by an enemy that knows this terrain like the back of their hand. And then there's the jungle itself. Venomous snakes, malaria-carrying mosquitoes, leeches, and a disorienting canopy so thick you can't see the sky. Food is scarce. Clean water is a luxury. Every step is a risk. This was the reality for men like the members of Merrill's Marauders. These were special operations soldiers who marched hundreds of miles through the Burmese jungle to disrupt Japanese supply lines. On their final mission to capture the airfield at Myitkyina, they were pushed to the absolute limit. They were often surrounded, cut off from supplies for days on end. They fought not just the Japanese, but also dysentery, typhus, and sheer exhaustion. When they finally took the airfield, out of nearly 3,000 men who started the campaign, only a few hundred were left who could be considered fit for duty. They were heroes, but they were also ghosts, haunted by what they had endured. Their survival was a miracle carved out of pure grit. But what happens when you're not a trained commando? What if you're just a regular soldier, a cook, a medic, or a driver, suddenly thrust into a desperate situation? This happened during the Battle of the Bulge in the winter of 1944. The massive German surprise attack punched a hole in the Allied lines, surrounding entire divisions. The 101st Airborne at Bastogne is the most famous example. They were encircled, outnumbered, low on ammo, food, and medical supplies in the freezing cold of the Ardennes forest. When the Germans demanded their surrender, General McAuliffe's legendary reply was nuts. It was a defiant, morale-boosting moment. But for the men in the foxholes, bravado didn't keep them warm. They were huddled in frozen holes, fighting off frostbite as much as enemy attacks. Medics were performing surgery with minimal supplies and makeshift aid stations that were constantly being shelled. They had no idea if help was coming. They just had to hold. They had to believe that their small part of the line, their frozen patch of dirt, mattered. For them, survival meant trusting the man in the foxhole next to you and holding on for one more hour, one more day. Now let's consider a different kind of isolation. The naval crews whose ships were sunk in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. Take the crew of the USS Indianapolis. After delivering components for the atomic bomb, they were torpedoed and sunk in 12 minutes. Around 900 men went into the water. No distress signal had been sent. For 4 days, they floated in the open ocean, battling dehydration, exposure, and horrifying shark attacks. The Navy didn't even know they were missing. Help wasn't coming because no one was looking. By the time they were accidentally spotted by a patrol plane, only 316 men were left alive. Their story is a chilling reminder that sometimes being behind enemy lines doesn't mean being on land. It can mean being lost in a blue, indifferent wilderness with survival measured in minutes. The psychological toll of being trapped is something we can barely comprehend. The constant stress, the paranoia, the gnawing fear. Every decision is life or death. Do you trust the local villager who offers you bread? Is it a genuine act of kindness or a trap to get a reward from the enemy? Do you risk a fire to keep warm, knowing the smoke could give away your position? Do you eat the strange berries you find or risk starving? This was the daily calculus for survival. Many survivors spoke of a strange shift in their thinking. The grand strategy of the war faded away. The world shrank to their immediate surroundings. Their universe became a ditch, a barn, a cave. Their goals became simple: find water, find food, stay hidden, and survive until sunrise. This primal focus was what kept many of them alive. They stopped being soldiers in an army and became something more fundamental: human beings refusing to give up. Resistance networks, like the French Maquis or the partisans in Eastern Europe, were lifelines for these stranded soldiers. These were brave civilians, men, women, even teenagers, who risked torture and execution to hide, feed, and guide Allied personnel back to safety. For a soldier on the run, finding the resistance was like finding an oasis in the desert. But it was a dangerous alliance. One wrong move, one informant, and everyone would be lost. The stories of these escape lines are epics in their own right, filled with secret codes, clandestine meetings, and harrowing journeys over mountains and across borders. So, when we look at the iconic images of World War II, the grand invasions, the tank battles, the victory parades, it's crucial to remember these other stories. The quiet, desperate stories of individuals and small groups trapped far from any friendly face. Their battlefields weren't marked on any map. Their victories weren't celebrated with medals, but with another breath, another sunrise. They were the lost, the surrounded, the forgotten. But their struggle, their sheer refusal to surrender to despair, is one of the most powerful and inspiring legacies of the entire war. Their fight wasn't for territory or for glory. It was for the most fundamental thing of all, the chance to live another day. Thanks for watching. If you found these stories as incredible as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments which story of survival you find most compelling. See you next time.